Hello, welcome to the next edition of the Monday special. Today we're going to try a 5-0 list. It's basically elementals with Elishnorn and Nissa. So we're going to try it out for some matches, see how good it is, evaluate if I want to play it through League or not. So if we have a good positive record, I might try this for a stream. So essentially the deck, we have 4 Omnaths, key pieces, we have 4 Nissas, 4 Voice of Resurgence, and 4 Cobras. For some reason, we cut back on the Escape to the Wilds, but then again, we also have Bring to Light, which could help find Escape to the Wild. So I guess essentially we might have 4 copies, anyways. But that's the idea. We also have removal pieces like Leyland Binding and Chain to the Rocks. That is the deck we're trying out. If you like this kind of content, don't forget to like, comment, subscribe, hit that bell notification, and let's get into the deck list. Breaking down, we have a Risen Reef for card advantage. Main, in addition to what I've already just talked about. We have 1 Omnath that we can get with the Bring to Light, and we have 26 lands, I think, which is pretty reasonable, and we have 2 Elishnorns, so pretty sweet. Sideboard, we have Rending Volley for Spirits, mainly, and Mono White. Dispute as a way to hate on blue-based counters. Destroy Evil to hate on Shieldred and enchantments like Fable of the Mirror Breaker. Dovin's Veto, pretty good against control. Unlicensed Hearst, we could bring in against Graveyard Hate. Thought Distortion also is pretty good against control. And combo-ish style decks. Supreme Verdict is a Wrath with Radiant Flame, so we have 2 sweepers. We have Jingatha we can get out of the board. That is our 5-color mid-range pile for Pioneer. Let's see the deck in action. Triumph, go. Coast, it's like spirits. Passes. Play the Fable Passage, crack it. Get planes, pass the turn. Hollow Fountain, untapped. Passes. Play Nissa. Lofty Denial. Pass the turn. Beautiful. Passes. Voice of Resurgence. Sailor. Counters. Play the mountain. Go. Shackles. Tap Coast. Hits me. Chain of the Rocks. Eat the Shackle. Pass the turn. Plays a Waste. Gets frisky. Hits me to 18. Risen Reef. Can't even play it. These 2 mountains are doing some work. Just pass, I guess. If one of these was a forest or island, we would be able to cast our stuff. Supreme Phantom. Hits me. Leyland Binding. Do you have a Shackles? Rattle Chains? Riveteer's Outlook. That means we can grab a forest. Pass the turn. Shacklegeist. Hits me. Cabaretti Courtyard. I guess I should grab planes, I guess. Definitely probably should have waited until after I played the Omnath. Here comes Spokeballer. Nope, Snare. That's fine. Resolves. Hits me for 3. Which tells me he has something up, right? Because why didn't he attack with the Mutavault? Garden. Risen Reef. Draws a card. Tapped. Pass the turn. Second blue source is good. Hits me for 3. Plays a Tap Coast. Plays Catilda. Omnath. Draw a card. Put that in hand. Play Cobra. Binding. Spell Pierce. That's whatever. Honestly don't care. Pass the turn. Draws a card with Sailor. Alright. I'm off. So we have Bollies. Possibly Dispute. We down a Nissa, Cobra, 1 Norn, and the little Omnath. Run it like that. Progrin Triumph. Go. Hollow Fountain. Passes. Play Indata Triumph. Go. Waste. Passes. Triumph. Voice of Resurgence. Pass the turn. Hollow Fountain untapped. Skyclave Appetizers. Cobra. Pass the turn. Supreme Phantom. Goes to combat. Hits me. Kill the Supreme Phantom. Trade. Cobra. Smack you for 2. Wanderer. Passes. Go to combat. Hit you for 4. Attempt to chain to the rocks. Snare. Pass the turn. Curious Obsession. Goes to combat. Attempts to hit me. Attempt to volley. Do you have rattles? Of course you do. Hit you. He trades with the Cobra. Mutable. Hits me. Draws a card. Swamp. That's like a weird top deck. I guess hit you. Rattles. Coast. Another rattle chain. That's not terrible. Doing it at sorcery speed is weird. Goes to combat. Hits me for 5. Down to 10. Go to combat. Hit you. Trade. Attempt to binding. Pay for it. Eat the Wanderer. Plays an island. Turns on the mutable. Hits me for 4. Down to 6. Yep, Sailor. Turns on the mutable. Hits me to 1. Omnath. It's all or nothing here. Okay. You mean to tell me there's a chance? But Fable. Fable Passage. Pass the turn. Draws a card. Curious Obsession. Goes to combat. Hits me for 4. Crack Fable Passage. We will take, I guess, a mountain. Take it down to 5. Play a Triumph. Gain some life. Attempt to cast Escape to the Wilds. Any counterspell should be used. Go to combat. Smack. He's at 2. Draws a card. Wanderer. Pathway on white. Draws a card. That's a good sign. Curious Obsession. Attacks out. Except for Sailor. So we're at 4. He draws 2 cards. Supreme Phantom. So you must have just drew that. Stomping Ground. Hit you, I guess. Omnath. Keep the new Omnath. Courtyard. We're just dead in the air. Alright, so 0-1 both games. We just did not find the colors we needed to win the game within a reasonable time frame. So let's get into the next. Pathway on blue. Jetmir's Garden. Go. Sailor. It's like Dimir Flash, maybe? Puts a combat research on it. Hits me. Finds a mutable. Breeding Pool. Voice Resurgence. Yeah. Curious Obsession. Hits me for 2. Draws 2 cards. Risen Reef. Risen Reef for Sacred Foundry tapped. Go to combat. Hit you with Voice. Hits me for 2. Draws a couple cards. Plays a Dark Slick Shores. Fatal pushes my Voice. But Omnath in hand. Nissa. Snare. Courtyard. Guess on Plains? Smack you. Another combat research. Hits me. Draws 3 this time. Plays a Pathway on blue. Passes. Discards immutable. Nissa. So I think I just go to combat. Hit you for 3. Takes it. Voice of Resurgence. Put a Headquarters into play. Add white mana. I don't have a swamp. Fatal pushes my Voice. So we get 2 tokens. I really wish I had a swamp. Rattle Chain. Alright, put that in hand. Pass the turn. Supreme Phantom. Tapping the mutable. Hits me for 6. Seems a little daring to attack with the rattles. Fatal pushes an elemental token. Plays a tap land. Omnath. Risen Reef trigger. Put the Triumph into play. We'll add, I guess, white. Gain some life. Crack the Fable Passage. Grab a swamp. Add some mana. We'll add, I guess, red. Leyline Binding. I'll just take the Sailor. I think it's the safer option if he has something with his blue. Okay, phase. That means I get to play Risen Reef. Put the Forest into play. Deal some damage. Add a green. Play Hideout. So we add blue, black, bring to light. Grab an Elishnorn. Cast the Elishnorn. Smack you. Got her first game. This time I'm going to learn from a mistake and bring these in, and as well as this. Probably go down 1-1. That probably chains all together and go into dispute. Run it like that. Island. Wonder. Passes. Triumph. Go. Watery Grave. Untapped. Wonder. Sailor. Hits me for 3. I think I overlook. Crack it. Get a mountain. Pass. Pathway on black. Hits me. Take it. Down to 15. Radiant Flames, I guess. This will either make him counter it or sacrifice a Wanderer. Okay, got a snare out of his hand. That's good. Otawara hits me for 3. Risen Reef. Fable Passage. Pass the turn. Draws a card. Cracked Fable. Get an eye. Plains. Binding. Attempt to eat a Wanderer. Hits me. Take it to 10. Cobra. Fable Passage. Add a green source. Risen Reef. Put a voice in hand. Dispute in hand. Draws a card. Hit you. Crack the passage. I grab a forest. Add a white source. Play Voice Resurgence. Put a land in play tapped. Add a blue, I guess. Watery Grave untapped. Crippling Fear. Gets rid of my board. Hits me for 2 down to 8. Play Omnath. Draw a card. Garden. Attempt to hit you. Pass the turn. Dispute. Another Crippling Fear. Eat my elemental. Curious Obsession. Hits me for 3. Take it. Nissa. Flip out the back. Risen Reef. Tap land. Add white to my mana pool. Voice Resurgence. Play a Breeding Pool tapped. I just pass. A Lord. So he has 6 power. Hits me for 6. Take it. Shackles. Cast Florahedron. Trying to find a land. Okay, that's good. So we gain 4 off this Omnath. We will just add, I guess, red. Gain 4. Cycle. Draw. Swamp. Go to combat. Swing out with everything but Risen Reef. By Omnath number 2. Ether Gust. Bottom. Courtyard. Okay, we still got lands. That's good. Get a plains. Add green. Green. Alright, got it. 1 and 1. Getting to the next. Cave. Tap. Passes. I guess hideout. Get a plains. Pass the turn. And now for the opponent. Passes. And still not a red source. Play an island. Nissa. Resolves. Pass the turn. Consider. Steam Vents. Kills my Nissa. Cobra. Forest. Get, I guess, a red source. Pick up Jangatha. Pass the turn. Canal. Must have just drew that. Fiery Impulse. Triumph. Go. Play the coast. Crackles. Binding. Feeding Hopes. Good save. Riveteer's Outlook. That's good. That means I finally get my red source. And it's a mountain. Great. Play Jangatha. Pass the turn. Fable the Mirror Breaker. Tap Hollow Storm Giant. Risen Reef. Yep, Breeding Pool tapped. Seems good. We'll go ahead and Chain to the Rocks. Get rid of the Goblin token. Bell Pierce. Pay. Eat the token. Hit you for 5. Kills my Jangatha. Treasure Cruise. Another Fable the Mirror Breaker. That's not helpful. Pass the turn. Goes to combat. I'm assuming hits with the Goblin token. Sure. I don't really want to waste Leyland Binding on that. Take it down to 20. Treasure Cruise. Binding. Eat the Reflection. Risen Reef. Alright, another Binding. Fable Passage. Smack you with Risen Reef. Spikefield Hazard. Kills a Reef. Flips Reflection. Hits me. Take it. Ledger Shredder. Strangle. Binding. Get rid of the Reflection. Alright, kills my dude. Another Fable the Mirror Breaker. Pass the turn. Plays a Pathway on blue. Goes to combat. Swings at me for 6. Binding. Pay it. That resolves. Eat Fable. Take 6. Alright, deck. I need something here, though. Treasure Cruise. Another land. Pass the turn. He just wins by turning on the hall. I just can't get out of it. All I drew was lands. Bring in disputes, possibly vetoes, down a Norn, bring to light, because I mean it's just going to get countered, and little Omnath. Bring in thought distortion, maybe down a chain, a Nissa, run it like that. Courtyard, grab a forest, pass the turn. Coast, passes. Sacred Foundry, untapped. Cobra, go. Steam Vents, Maze Mind Tome, Ground, untapped. Add a blue, Risen Reef, Mountain, that's good. So we add a green, Voice of Resurgence. Put that in hand. Smack you. Scries. Scries again. Ops. Plays a pathway. Kills my Cobra. That's rude. Riveteer's Outlook. Get a swamp. Hit you. Tome. Considers. Fable the Mirror Breaker. Binding. Get rid of the Fable. Orahedron. Chain to the Rocks. Smack. Ledger Shredder. Plays a Maze Mind Tome. Plays Tap Hall. Escape to the Wilds. Play an Island. Cobra. Plains. Add a green. Voice of Resurgence. Chain to the Rocks. Smack. Alright, so you go ahead and scries and gains 4. That's a good sign. Plays the Tap Canal. Draws a card. Shredder. Impulses the Cobra. Gets to connive. Passes. Play Elish Norn. Binding. He does get to connive, but we get to remove the tome and the shredder. Got game 2. So we're on the draw this time, so I think that's less likely to happen. So we go up this, up Norn. No, we'll go up Omnath. Run it like that. Steam Vent. Untapped. Probably has to consider. I think that means a hideout now. Grab a forest. Ops. Coast. Foundry. Untapped. Voice of Resurgence. Ops gives me a free elemental. Pretty good. Canal. Shredder. I guess Fiery Impulse Resurgence. Strangles the token. Play a tap land. Let's go ahead and deal with the Shredder. Smack you. Pathway on blue. Fable the Mirror Breaker. Passes. Triumph. Voice of Resurgence. Pass the turn, I think. He ops. Gives me 2 tokens. Scoops it up. He punted. 2 and 1. Let's get into the wrap up. So, what did we learn this week about this deck? And overall, we went 2 and 1. My biggest takeaway, the deck itself felt pretty strong. Once it can get going, it's actually a quite powerful deck. My negatives about the deck are the mana base. Like, there was both the match, every game we lost was because either we got flooded or we got screwed. So, and that's kind of the big takeaway. That one game we drew both of our mountains, so we could never cast our Omnath, which, you know, hurt us against spirits, which would have maybe allowed us to stabilize sooner and win that game. And the other game, of course, we had issues with mana again. We got stuck on 3, I believe, or 4, and we finally are able to come back, but we lost that match. Same with the last match. Like, I think we went 2-1. We got flooded. So that was the takeaway there. So I'm not sure how you could address this. Like, this deck does feel quite powerful. Like, Omnath is quite busted. Having the little Omnath felt sweet, even though I never got the chance to play it. Honestly, I kind of wonder if Omnath should be another BTL, but then again, you're upping your mana curve, so probably not. So if you have any suggestions at all, let me know down in the comment section. And if you like this kind of content, don't forget to like, comment, subscribe, hit that bell notification. We're on our way to 1,000 subs. So if you could help me get there, that would be sweet. And until next time, hopefully you guys have a great rest of your day. Talk to you soon.